doesn't invite us to prostrate with her, then we'll wait until she's seated. And anybody who's not comfortable with prostrating, that's fine. You just wait until we're all done, and then we'll start in our in the program. Venerable Amy is teaching in part from the Lam Rim, and also in part from this really wonderful book by His Holiness and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. There are a couple of copies of it in the bookstore if anybody would like to have a copy for themselves. She's also offering a really wonderful opportunity later this year she'll be leading a pilgrimage up to Laudo, which is a district up in the Mount Everest region of Nepal, where Lama Zopa Rinpoche was born. And it's said that his previous incarnation meditated in a cave up there. And so she has spent quite a bit of time over the years in retreat up there. She led a pilgrimage about a year and a half ago, and it sounds like it was really wonderful. So there are still a couple of spots open in that pilgrimage if you're interested. We also want to particularly thank our sponsors whose donations make it possible for us to bring a visiting teacher of Venerable Amy's caliber here. She has been studying Buddhism for well over 30 years and has been a nun for 20 years. Before she started studying the Dharma, she was a investigative journalist and active in politics, and you can kind of see that same inquisitive and direct intelligence that she brings to studying and sharing the Dharma with us. And so it really has been a wonderful weekend, and I hope you'll enjoy her this morning. And I think that's all I need. So she'll be here soon. Thanks. Let's do them now. Oh, and another thing, we're going to, right after we do the opening prayers, before we dismiss the children, we'll gather up in front for a group photo with Venerable Amy.
I will take every opportunity to do my bit. So I'm Elise Strevel from Outreach. Outreach provides opportunities for people to practice the things that they had learned here in the Kadampa. So we have some wonderful opportunities. Right now we have a Share the Love food drive going on through February 14th, Valentine's Day. As of January the 30th, we've collected 287 pounds of food. So let's double or triple that by Valentine's Day. And so many needy families really appreciate your gifts. We also will have the Triangle Interfaith Alliance is having their 2020 annual dinner meeting on February 27th. It's a wonderful opportunity to get together with people of other faiths and cultures. And we have 3 outstanding leaders in the community in interfaith activities that will be presenting. Reverend Nancy Petty, who's a social activist, Reverend Bruce Puckett, who is from Duke University Chapel, and Professor Gupta, who's from NC State. And it's a great opportunity to learn about what interfaith activities are happening and how you can be a part of positive change. So look that up. All of this information is on the board by the back door, by the way. You could take pictures of the flyers. And the other thing is, if you are interested in climate change, the environment, wanting to learn what's going on, how you can be a part of the change, we have pretty much an ongoing a series of events from the Interfaith Care of Creation group. It's a coalition of over 40 faith organizations, including Kadampa Center, and there are regular events that provide opportunities for you to learn about what you can do as an individual, all the way up to legislative action. So please check the back board by the back door to see what's going on right now. There's Faith in Action that will happen on Thursday, February the 20th. So thank you for your attention and for your participation.
joy to you? We were talking about joy Friday night, Saturday, and she was saying it's not about what you give. It's not about what you receive and what you get, but it's about what you can offer or give. And so her dad was giving his jacket to a homeless guy or somebody that didn't have in the winter, which is a really incredible way to create joy for somebody. And making a Google site. And the other thing that you might notice, do you notice this, that when you give, it's not about the other person getting the jacket and having joy, but you feel it, right? Isn't that cool? It's pretty cool.
I get joy when I can actually sleep.
She gets joy when she can actually sleep. You know what? So do I. Thank you. Because, I hate to break it to you guys. Do you sleep at night?
Usually not. I have to get character designs out of my head, or usually I have to get ready for college.
That you have to get ready for college?
Yes.
How old are you?
10, but bills aren't going to pay themselves.
Okay, that would keep me up at night if I was 10 years old. But you know what? Can I give you a little tip? Do you mind? Can I give you a tip? Just be 10 right now. Like that's later. That's when you're older, you're going to have years to worry about that. But right now, I remember being 10. I remember chasing somebody I liked around the playground. That was a big thing of, what kind of clothes I was going to wear to school and who my teacher was. And now you have technology. We didn't have that then. So we had to kind of get more creative and play outside and do things that were really fun. Okay. But what do you think about, can you let some of that go? Or is it not possible, you think?
Well, I need to get myself out of debt of college loans. So.
But are you in debt? Are you in debt now? So are you in college now?
Not really, but I still have debt.
How do you have debt?
I owe my friend a piece of candy.
Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty simple. That's pretty simple. But I'll give you a tip. So do you sleep? How do you sleep at night?
I sleep good.
Sleeping?
Good, and I've always been an
Early riser. How are you sleeping at night? A lot of kids I know. Do you sleep pretty well at night? Yeah, I had a feeling you did, because you look well rested. You look well rested.
people waking me up when I still need to sleep. Oh yeah, my dad had to turn on the car alarm.
I really don't like being woken up when I'm sleeping. Yeah, absolutely. My father used to come in the room, and he's a very tall guy, big guy, really nice guy, but he was an early riser. I was not. And he just felt like when he got up, everybody should be up. So he'd come in the room, turn the light on, and then he'd say things like, "Up and at 'em, come on, we get." And so, but here's a tip about a lot of younger people sleep really well, and they sleep for roughly. You guys back there, how many hours do you sleep at night? Yeah, right there, you. Approximate, like.
I might wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, but then the next day wake up at 12.
Okay. Just looking around at some of you right now, different ages, wouldn't it be amazing to sleep till 12? Yeah. Remember those days? So what happens is, wait till you get to be a teenager. You're probably nearly a teenager if you're not already. Teenagers can sleep like cats, 20 hours a day. It was amazing. So sleep now, because when you get older, I'm sorry to mention, but sleeping becomes like a luxury. We just don't sleep that well when we're older somehow, unfortunately, right? So if I get 6 hours, it's a really good experience for me, like that. So let's go back to joy. Other comments? Your feelings? Anything? When are you really joyful? What's been a joyful moment for you? Accomplishments. What kind of accomplishments? Can you say anything about any of them?
When you have a goal and you complete it.
Yep. Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah.
Okay. And it also, the thing about accomplishments, and the thing I noticed about accomplishments is, and I was talking to, so I went out to dinner with, I have a close friend in this area from my political days. His kids are I think they're like 22 and 18, and one's at UNC, and one just graduated from there. So I asked them about their peers, about anxiety and depression, because they are, a lot of teenagers are experiencing that more and more. Many people that come to classes, I find, are suffering from that. So I asked them, what do you think about it? Like, you guys don't seem to be suffering from that. Who do you know that is? Why do you think it is? And they talk a lot about social media and things like that. But one of the things they did say, and they're not Buddhists, is they say, well, it really helped us when we joined clubs. We're involved in activities that help other people. Accomplishment, when you, and a lot of that's about accomplishment. You're doing something, but if you add that piece that it's helpful for somebody else, like, you have to check your mind. Does that make you happy? Right? What do you guys think? Somebody back there rubbing his eyes. What do you think about that? Do you ever get engaged helping somebody else? Is it better than just doing something for yourself? Maybe try at some point. What do you guys think? Do you ever what do you think if you're accomplishing something, but it's involving, sounds pretty good, yeah? You've been involved in something like that, right?
More or less.
Yeah. And does it make you happy?
Yes. When I scored my friend's Capri Sun, that was really happy. And he was happy too because I gave him my whole pack of ramen.
Oh, well, that was nice. That's a good trade.
The thing was, it was uncooked. But
Well, maybe he could cook it at some point, right?
no, it was at school.
What's your feeling about accomplishment and joy and doing something for others?
Well, accomplishments like EOGs are pretty big in grades for me. I sometimes stress on them. Like after the EOGs.
Wait, what's EOGs?
tests that are
Oh, the end of grade. EOGs. I see. Yes.
so like
I thought you were talking about yogis. I'm like, what's the problem with yogis? Sounds pretty good.
no, it's just like the night when we were supposed to get our scores. I slept so poorly, like 5 hours. I'm like, oh my god. And one of the things that that causes anxiety and nightmares for me is watching television at night. Television
Yep.
stresses me out. Sometimes it keeps me awake. Like after you're watching it, you're like.
Not
And
me.
I have some private
Yeah.
fears, and sometimes when I watch a scary movie or something.
Yeah. So what might be? She's saying if you watch TV at night, something scary, and it keeps you up at night. What's a solution for that?
Don't watch TV.
Thank you. Brilliant.
I can watch TV all night if I wanted to.
All night.
People are special in different ways.
But then you're.
don't like it when people stop me from watching.
But then aren't you tired the next day?
And I fall asleep in the middle of the show.
Right. But did you ever notice? Do you ever notice when you're watching TV? How energetic do you feel when you're watching TV? Yeah, just like she just went like this.
I feel
That-
I'm just
I find TV. I call it the great nummifier.
oh,
Right? Now, they're making some quality programs for TV now. It's interesting, okay? But please limit your time with it. It's really, first of all, it's addictive, becomes a habit. So you come home and you just want to watch, or you stream your thing, or you put your thing on, and, you know, be careful what you're watching. Protect your mind, right? Protect your mind.
I'd rather be swimming in the swimming pool.
There you go. That feels pretty good.
Oh yes, water scares me.
You love swimming. I also love swimming. I also love swimming.
I can't swim because our thing's closed. Okay.
Well, but in the summer, you know how to swim, right? So do you guys have swimming lessons?
I don't take swimming lessons, but I can swim underwater really well.
But you can swim underwater. So let me just pose this to the younger folks in, is it good there? Yeah, okay. She's like, okay. I caught you. Uh-huh, yeah. I just want to talk about a little bit, something that brings joy to me is appreciation and gratitude. Okay? So here's the thing about swimming. How many people in here know how to swim? That is most impressive, okay? So let me just tell you what a luxury that is, to know how to swim, seriously, okay? And so I've been with people that don't know how to swim. And if you're ever with people on a boat out at sea and it's sinking, like it's terrifying for them. It's terrifying for them. We have some people that are trying to come across from another country to a safer country. And the only way they can escape is by this boat, and they don't know how to swim. So think about how wonderful it is. You have this skill that actually could save somebody's life, and it's fun to do, especially in the summer when you're outside with your friends. I mean, but it's also such a luxury to know how to swim. You know, I noticed you didn't put your hand up because you grew up in a landlocked area, right? And some people there don't know how to swim. I remember, you know, going through there, and we were talking in the car. So, you know, it's nice to really enjoy when you're doing it. Like, can I focus on, this is so cool that I can swim, that I have this ability to be able to move through the water. You see people that don't know how, and they're flailing around and scared, and they have to stay close to the edge in something shallow. Yeah.
Yeah, I know pretty well how to swim because, and also, taking breaths is also pretty important if you're like in a swim team and doing like competition. I can hold my breath doing freestyle my entire pool, so it's a pretty good advantage for across the ocean because I got the championship, and
Right.
I have many ribbons and butterfly, which most people find very tiring.
Okay, so let's go back to joy and gratitude and appreciation. Something around that? Something not, something serious that we can, yeah?
So,
About joy and gratitude and things that contribute to joy and gratitude.
I like to skate.
You like to skate?
Yes. And my friends
Roller skate or ice skate, or what kind of?
roller skate. Ice skating is terrifying.
Okay. Okay. Skating is fun. Skating's very fun. Yes.
You know when you said they have to stay close to the edge? That's kind of like roller skating. People that don't know how to roller skate always stay close to the edge, and they're probably gonna fall down a lot.
Sometimes they do. Yeah, because you're hanging on.
Because I've done it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to swim, but I have a gym that has a pool, and I'm getting better, and now I can go underwater.
That's great. That's exciting. And I bet you might learn how to swim one day. Do you think you might? That's pretty exciting. That's wonderful.
Well, yesterday I went to some kind of ninja place.
A ninja place. That sounds very cool.
I wanted to go down a slide, but it was very steep. But I didn't go down it, so I just chose something else.
Yep.
But I do know how to swim. But
That's great.
my pool is like 4 hours.
Right? That's neat. So did you ever have this experience when you are afraid of something?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so it's kind of neat when you said, and I chose something else. We can do that. So we have choices. We have choices, right? And sometimes you took on something, and even if you're trying to accomplish something, and suddenly you realize it's bigger than I thought it was going to be. This project is going to... So what do you think about asking somebody for help?
Our coaches were, well, they took us to, like, different parts of the gym, and then we went to, then I just went to Lowe's Foods.
Then you went to what?
Lowe's Foods.
Oh, then you went to, right. So what do you think about, it's kind of neat that you made a choice that was kind of too steep, a slide, it was too scary.
Yeah.
So I could do something else. You don't have to be pushed by, you ready for this? Your friends that are daring you to do stuff that's too dangerous. You don't need to give into that. It's kind of like, hey, it's okay, I don't feel comfortable. And more than like, you might not feel comfortable to say I'm scared, but you could say, I'm not comfortable with this. You always have choices to say, sorry, you had your hand up, please. Yeah.
I have a lot of experiences when at the climbing gym where I tried something that I couldn't do, and then I went I figured out I couldn't do it because either like the rocks are too far away from each other, so I went to do something else
Yep.
that was easier.
Yep. And how did that feel?
I can't really explain it because like I don't really remember.
Okay, that's okay. But what's kind of cool is occasionally some of those rock walls obviously are going to be designed for some adult bodies because they want to challenge people. And so you're going to grow into that. So it's kind of neat to kind of recognize your limitations. I think that's your wisdom. I think that's pretty smart. And then to kind of go, you know what? Let me try this. And you can actually accomplish that and you get stronger. And then when your body grows, you go back over to the other side and you go, wow, now I can do this. It was very exciting. I just remember when I was a kid, like on jungle gyms, we called them, climbing structures, right? Things. And there were times I was too small and I couldn't reach. And then suddenly 2 years later, I was like the bigger kid climbing up and I could see little kids that couldn't do it. And so it's kind of interesting I think it's helpful to know your limitations at times like that. Yes.
That slide I was talking about earlier, it was like just
Straight down. Straight down.
Like straight.
So maybe, do you think when you're a little older you might be able to do it?
I would just, if I was older, I would just jump.
Okay. All right. All right. Yes.
You said about something growing taller. I have a very short mother, and my mother's taller than my dad, so I don't think I'll be growing anytime soon.
Okay. Okay. Is your mother here?
Yes.
Right here.
Oh, hi. Hi, short mom. I met your mom yesterday, and I really like your mom, and I think she's pretty cool. So I think you're pretty fortunate, regardless of her size, right? Some wonderful things come in small packages, right? So.
She's almost as big as my mom.
Okay. Okay. So wait. Let's go back. Let's go back to joy and gratitude, and I love this idea of accomplishing something. And then if I want to add in that could help somebody else. Do you guys, are you part of any clubs that do stuff like that? Anything like that? What's the name of what's the organization or the club?
My club, I'm part of a club. We create the yearbook for my school.
Oh, neat. Oh, that's a huge job. That's very creative. That's neat. That's a great way to work also as a team collaboratively, so you get used to what it's like, going into a company later and how people each have their areas. Some of the kids are fun to work with. Yeah. Some of them maybe not. Yeah. Okay. So how do you deal with somebody you're not so thrilled with?
I kind of work around them.
Okay. Sometimes we work around people like that. Can you a little bit understand? Do you ever think about? Do you guys have anybody you're kind of in class you don't really like? Sometimes he's like, yep. So, but did you ever think about what their experience is? Like, do other people have trouble with them? And maybe what motivates them? Yeah.
I had one experience. There was this kid who was bullying me, and then later on in the year I found out that his dad died earlier that year. So
Right.
I had compassion for him.
Yes, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Because often when people are difficult, and if it's difficult like that where they're attacking you, it often comes from incredible insecurity in themselves. Fear, pain, sadness. They might have been bullied. That's often where that comes from. So it's amazing to have compassion, to open up your heart and realize, rather than retaliating back. It doesn't really solve it, right? Anything else back there? Am I missing any kids? Who else is hiding there? I see somebody sitting right there. I see somebody sitting right there with beautiful hair. Do you have anything you want to add about joy and gratitude for you? Okay, not right now. Okay. Something? No problem. No problem. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
The first time I was at my pool, I was,
Is it something about joy and gratitude?
well, I think no.
Okay, because here's another thing. When we're talking, do you ever notice this when you're talking to people? We just want to talk about what we want to talk about, like that we're so important. Do you ever take the time to think, if I'm going to speak, is this going to have benefit to the people I'm speaking to? It has a little bit more meaning. Yeah. Do you have anything you want to add about that?
Like joy and those I when I have joy, it's probably because of what someone about something that someone did to me, or like when I know that like I did a good job on something, like when I go and do a test, I sometimes see people peeking at my work, and I just tell them to please stop, and my parents tell me I have talent in writing, and when I do like my presentations, the teacher always likes it, and she tells me good job, and I feel joy because I know that I'm doing it correctly, and maybe one day I can reach my dream of working for Disney Studios.
Oh, that's very nice. Yep. So it is kind of nice if you get feedback that what you did was great, and wouldn't it be neat if what you're doing helps other beings like that? So maybe you can create some interesting things at Disney, give kids a better, more realistic way to, a nice value system in the world of helping others, caring for others, listening to others, sharing with others like that. Right there.
I do my homework every day in my school.
That's wonderful. That's a very nice thing. That's very sweet. Thank you.
I feel joy when somebody's like, hey, can you be my partner? Or like something was like, oh, somebody actually wants to be with me and have work with me. Because at the beginning of the year in 5th grade, I would usually not talk to anybody. I would just sit at lunch and just draw and do stuff. And then how I found my friend was kind of funny. I didn't have that much of a lunch because I forgot to pack it because I woke up late. So they were like, hey, Olivia. And then they yeeted pretzels at my face. And so I was like, oh, somebody actually wants me to have food. So they
That's nice.
And I would go hey guys, can I have some more pretzels? every other day, I was like, hey, and that pretzels brought me joy, and my friends brought me joy. So
That's great. That's very nice. Pretzels also bring me joy because I'm from Pennsylvania. So that's one of our staples. No, don't bring me any pretzels, please. But I just, I have to be very careful. I say something and people bring in gallons of something. I'm like, no, I don't really eat many pretzels, but I enjoy pretzels. That's very nice. And it's nice when people do want you to be part of their group. You know, you feel like, you know, people like me, there's something I can contribute. And I think if you keep your heart open, what do you think about that? Keeping this place kind of open. There's a lot of things coming in at your ages. A lot of things that are, but I think if we can kind of keep expanded to some degree, you know, with kindness, choosing kindness like that. Yeah.
I actually, I have a dream of world peace. And like, it was actually, we're talking about Martin Luther King in my class. So about like, the dream or like kindness. Like I'm like writing something like about kindness, how it warms our hearts with joy.
They're all connected like that. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. She said how kindness warms your heart with joy. So beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly like that. And it's great that they're teaching you about Martin Luther King Jr., very important person in our history. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And also the hurdles, incredible hurdles that he had, incredible obstacles. So it's kind of like showing if you do have obstacles, and I don't think a lot of us in this room has many obstacles as he had, right? But if you have obstacles, how do you want to work through some obstacles?
Without brandishing a weapon.
Without a weapon? How would you work through obstacles? If you've had any obstacles, how do you deal with them?
Finding all the possible outcomes of what you can do, all the different ways you can solve it, and then trying them one by one.
Right. Finding all the different ways you can solve it and trying them one by one. How do you work with obstacles?
Well,
You're still back thinking about the slide, right? Yeah, it was a big one. I know it was a big one. But you actually dealt with that obstacle pretty wisely. You kind of said, too steep, I'm going over here. That was pretty smart.
first time it was like, I was like, it's too steep. And my mom and dad were like, you can go down it.
Slowly, slowly.
And when I
What?
was this age, I knew how to go down it.
Yeah, at some point you'll go down it, I bet.
I already
Wait, look.
started going down it. I'm 6 years old.
Okay.
So
Wh-
I do my homework in my school. Do your homework, please.
And you do your homework, which is good, which is really good. I appreciate that you do your homework.
Wait a minute.
How do you deal with obstacles when?
I'm gonna do that one. Then I'm gonna share something. I deal with obstacles by just like either trying to deal with them myself, or if it's a really big, I'll ask someone to help me.
To help you. I mean, you know, it's okay. It's okay to ask for help. You know that, right?
Yeah. And
Do you know that? Everybody know that? It's okay to ask for help? Do you guys know that?
I know.
Oh, did we lose somebody back there?
also another thing is if you do your homework at school, wouldn't it technically be schoolwork?
Well, ha ha ha. Okay. Yes.
Okay, so
How do you deal with obstacles?
I ask if like they're people. Like I go like, hey, want to hang out? Like let's work through this, and they punch me in the face. I'm like, okay, you're still cool. And then I go back later, and it's like, hey, can I just scooch around you? And they're like, they put out their arms like, no. And then I'm like, just let me move you aside for just a bit and deal with this other person. And then they're like, no, and they punch me in the face again. It's like, okay, you're still cool. And then they go back to it later, and it's just an endless cycle until I just like, okay, and then I move them out of the way and throw them in the dumpster truck.
Okay. That seems to be really helpful, right?
Yeah, I act like if they're people. Usually homework.
So, yes. Yeah.
I kind of try and figure out how I can do them. Like if I kind of try it, and then if I can't do it, I see what I could have done different.
Mm,
And then and then try that out.
that's great. Yeah. That's helpful. I mean, again, similar to finding your different ways that you're going to deal with it. Very similar, very helpful. You know, rather than giving up, you don't want to give up, but there's always creative ways. If you get some other people involved to help you, that might help you figure it out too. So that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I like taking breaks. Like if it's like sitting on the sofa and listening to music or hanging out with my cats, plural.
Yeah, that's nice. So taking some breaks, to give yourself a break sometimes when you have obstacles, and maybe it gives you creative juices to figure out what's happening. So, sorry, how long is this?
Whenever you are.
Because don't the kids have a program?
Class, yeah.
So when does that start?
Anytime now, yeah.
Okay, no, I didn't know. Usually it's pretty quick, so I didn't know if they have a program. I didn't want to keep because.
Yeah, it's usually pretty good.
Okay. So wait, there was one other thing I was going to say. Is I wanted to make sure that all of you know that of the younger folks here. He's with me, and she's over there. Okay, so you guys know. I don't know if you've heard these words before, that you are good enough. You're aware of that? That you're good people, right? Do you know that? You know that? Yeah, you're pretty clear. You got that? You guys, you're not sure you got it. Did you get it? You know you're a good person? Okay. Does she know she's a good person? Okay, good. You got it? You guys here? Everybody thumbs up? And the reason is, you're some of you are entering a period of life, teenage years, and you've heard about this, and you might have an older sibling, and I don't know, it's like the world kind of flips upside down when you're a teenager, and everything looks a little different, and it can be very intense in school, and people have these ideas of things, and your bodies are changing, and you kind of don't know what to do about that, and you're trying to do everything about it. It's a big focus, and there's a lot of pressure. I remember those years. They were painful years for me, in many ways, very painful in some ways, and I think it's like that. A lot of us joke. I have a lot of high school friends in my area now. We joke about how the rest of your life is a survival of those years. Okay. However, they're pretty exciting years. They can be pretty neat years. As long as you know you're good enough, as long as you know you're totally okay from the inside out, and all those things are swimming around, and they're just changes, and then things change, and then things kind of level out in a nice way. So I think that's important. And then also thinking about what makes meaning in your life, which I find is a big focus on helping others so much. So if that's something you can think about and embrace through your life and work on, I think you'll be a lot happier. Be pretty happy. Does that make sense? What do you think? What do you think? You're not sure? Okay. Yes, one last comment.
I try and focus on the present, so that way I don't get too wrapped up in the future. Because, like my mom tells me, only focus on what you're going through right now. Don't look at what you're gonna face later, because then it's just gonna be a more stressful life, and everyone wants to spend their life happier.
Yep. That's right. That's right. Well, listen, I'm going to let you guys go to your... Okay, one last thing. Yep.
My school, we're doing this thing with like 24 traits, and each trait is helping you build character so you can have a nice life when you're older.
What are some of the traits? That's great. Her school's working with 24 traits so you can have a nice life when you're older.
Present, self-control, perseverance, kindness, gratitude.
There you go. All the magic words. Kindness, gratitude, perseverance, self-control. Fantastic. It's fantastic.
Prudence, creativity, optimism, curiosity.
It's great.
Teamwork.
That's fantastic. What do you think about those?
They're pretty good.
They're pretty good. I mean, those kind of things, if you can build those, fold those into your life, it's a jewel. It's really wonderful. And some of you are probably already doing that. Yeah.
She's missing one more thing. She's missing cake.
Cake. Okay. Okay. But that's actually, well, I'm going to be talking to the parents a bit more about things about values like that. So, and actually we could continue, but I don't know if they have a program, so I didn't know what you know, otherwise I can roll right into it with the kids here. It's up. They have a class. Okay. Okay. Well, listen, I want to thank you guys for being here and coming to Kadampa Center. Please keep connecting to Kadampa Center, even though you don't know and your mom made you be here. I know how that is. One day, something from Kadampa Center may benefit you in the future. So, but I really want to thank you. It's been great to meet all of you. I think we're going to have a photo, if you'd like to do that. And I want you to, and if you have, when you have choices, if it's possible to choose kindness as much as you can. If you can choose kindness, it really will make a difference like that, to choose kindness and to be happy as much as you can. Should we do oh, here comes David. Do you want to come up and do a photo with me?
Yes.
Thank you. That would make me happy. Come on over here.
I'm gonna stand
Right, dear.
behind you.
Thanks. But you want to have a
I
seat
don't
right
think
there.
I want to
Yeah.
stand
Great.
behind because I'm
Perfect.
really tall.
Perfect. Yeah, you can sit. Great. What is your doll's name? Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Did we get everybody?
No.
Cool.
There's a kid that doesn't want to come.
Come on, right. It's somebody in here.
Someone right
Get
here.
more people on this
Someone right here.
Yeah.
Someone right here.
Wait, why is my name in the
You two get up in front.
I love your
No, like right here. Right here. You.
My name is almost in the
Stella,
book.
come here. Oh, cool. I didn't catch you. I didn't see you there hiding out. Okay. Wonderful. Okay.
Can you hold him?
Oh, that's
Will you
great.
hold him? Oh, very
Yes.
good. Okay.
So, let's make sure you got one more. Let me have you just, what's your name? Just step back a teeny bit. There we go. You're right in there. Okay,
So now
wonderful.
let's take two photos here and just look at the camera on the count of three, and we'll take the first one here. 1, 2, 3. And then let's take one more to make sure everybody's eyes are open. 1, 2, 3. There we are. All done.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
I'm gonna stay for.
Enjoy. Have a wonderful day.
This is almost. That is almost my name. It's just names right there.
Noel, right? Noel, beautiful. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. And no, probably, maybe not. Okay, must have left it. Okay. Darn. All right. Do you want some tea? Yeah, is there any green tea? Like a big cup of green tea would be great. I must have left it back at the, dropped my mindfulness. Good morning. That was fun. So who do we have here?
This is Charlie.
Oh, look at that.
Charlie, the Buddhist beagle. No, yeah.
Hello.
He's been coming
Hi,
since he
handsome.
was
I heard
about
they
2
have
months.
pets here, but no cats, right?
No cats.
Hi, sweetheart. Oh, money, baby, oh. Oh, money, baby, 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 oh. Okay, yes.
Gracious on for love.
Sweetheart. I'm joking about cats. I mean, a lot of people have cat allergies, so it's challenging, I suppose, for people to bring their cats to the center. But cats, how many of you have cats? Yeah. They love traveling, don't they? They really, some of them do, very few do, but they're oh yeah, thank you. They're interesting cats, having lived with several cats over the years. They really have staff, don't they? You know, like they really kind of put you through it at times, their views. So it's hard to have them unless it's a center where at Milarepa we had a house, old farmhouse, with 2 cats living there. So they could just wander the house, and occasionally we'd let them up in the Kadampa, which was in the attic, the top of the house, and so then they could hear a teaching. But that's not what cats do. So what they would do is, if people were meditating, cats that really didn't like to be picked up or be in people's lap, okay, until people were meditating. And then they would, like, how they could just perfectly obstruct whatever was going on at any given time. It's so interesting. Different thing than dogs. Easier. Okay, so I want to talk about, and it's great with the kids. They're so sweet. Okay. Want to discuss with you we've been talking about joy Friday night, Saturday. A number of you have been here. It's okay if you have not been here at all. But I also want to talk about creating experiences in your mind, creating them and keeping them there, making that a pattern, which contributes to your joy. So this is slightly coming off of the joy course, the path to joy, but related to it. Some of you are very well aware of these things, okay? And I found them really helpful. They're kind of like, I would call them 10 golden rules for resiliency, coping, and stress management. Okay? That's just kind of what I call them. 10 golden rules for resiliency, coping, and stress management. Thank you so much. Thanks. Wonderful. Oh, great. And resiliency is wonderful because things change all the time on the planet, as we know. Your plans change, things, and how do you just kind of, okay, have to change now, something's changing. It makes it a lot lighter and it makes everything easier around you, and you're happier. You're happier. So let's talk about a few of these. Maybe we'll get through all 10. And a lot of you know this. A lot of you are aware of this. Okay, number 1, develop realistic expectations. Personally, professionally. Develop realistic expectations. So I'm about to lead a pilgrimage. I've been promoting this the whole time. I'm leading a pilgrimage to this remote retreat center called Laudo in the Mount Everest region of Nepal. We're going this May. And this is the view from Laudo. It's very high up and amazing, beautiful place, wonderful place to meditate, where the spiritual director of this center, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, has a small cave that's a very holy cave where he is said to have gotten enlightened in his last life. So the retreat center is built around it. There's a few cabins. His sister in her late 70s is a nun who lives there. She's very special. She's a real character. And we will have a day in Kathmandu, and then we fly up in a small plane. It'll be the flight of your life to a mountain village called Lukla. And then we walk a few days from there slowly over some beautiful, beautiful terrain and scenery. And then we'll do a 3-day retreat at Laudo. And then we visit a few places nearby where, for instance, where Lama Zopa Rinpoche was born. So it's very special. And one of the things I do tell the pilgrims in the beginning is to try to let go of expectations, because I find expectations are the mother of disappointment. So sometimes you've got to set up in your mind a story. This is how it's going to be. We just came out of the holidays, and some of you might have had an idea about, oh, we're going to so-and-so's house for Christmas or Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, and you have an expectation of how you want it to go, right? And then it doesn't match that. Something's different. Somebody didn't show up. This person showed up who's very difficult. They didn't have the pie that you thought they were going to have that they had last year that was so delicious. Why don't they have it? It goes on and on. You know, mundane expectations, big expectations, professionally, personally. So if you can let go of that story a little bit, and just as the one child was saying, she tries to be present, just what is coming. It's wisdom of what's coming, to just be there with that. It can be amazing. You can just really appreciate what is, instead of comparing, need to be like this, need to be like that. So you can look at your own relationship with that. So here's another one. Knowing your limits, setting reasonable goals and boundaries if needed. It's okay to say no on the Mahayana Buddhist path. It's okay. My teachers do it all the time. One teacher I know, often in the morning you won't even speak to him. Like, he's doing his practice and won't be available till like 1 p.m. So then he has more energy to help us, like that. So I think that's really helpful, knowing the limits, setting reasonable goals, understanding what reasonable goals are. If you're a type A person, it's about, this is a big word, relaxing. Relaxing. Right? It's okay to relax. You were great. You said, I take a break. Brilliant. Take a break sometimes. But know when the break is going on for too long. Like we talked yesterday about computer games. Games on your phone. Okay? How much time do you spend with games on your phone? Really eats up your time, okay? So knowing your limits, it's reasonable. I set boundaries, and I just know that, and I mentioned last night, I know when I get too tired, then any kind of wisdom and compassion I've developed, it all starts breaking down. Right? I stop dropping my mindfulness, and it all starts going. So again, so sometimes I'll just be like, okay, I really want to have energy for today, so I need to stop, or I need to go home, or I need to rest. I need to excuse myself because I've got to do this practice so that later I have the energy. Okay? So here's another one. Limit efforts. Number 3, limit efforts to control situations and others while doing your best in every moment. Okay? How many of you are trying to control somebody else? And then I'll be happy. Right? Right. Trying to control a situation. What can you control? Yourself, your mind. Your mind, that's it. That's the only thing you can control. So if there's any control freaks in here, I found that so liberating, because I just have to focus on one thing, my mind. Now, I don't mean without a motivation. My motivation's always there, of compassionate wisdom, of, that we're basically here, and this is what this whole talk is rooted in, fully waking up, becoming a Buddha. Why? So I can benefit all living beings. That's what I want to do. Every morning I start like that. Okay. So But from that space with that motivation, it's about me controlling my mind. And I don't have to worry about your mind and why you did that and how come she said that and this needs to be like this. But again, while doing your best in every moment, if you're at work and there's a project and there's something and this person isn't doing their end and this guy's late and they did a whole big part of the project and this is my part, I'm going to contribute my best to it. Contribute my best, because that's what I can control, is what I can contribute. If these people don't want to do their thing, then we'll deal with that at that point and figure out what we have to do. It's nice. You know the serenity prayer? Usually said in the 12-step programs, the serenity prayer about God grant me the serenity to, change the things I... Courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? It makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So we're developing wisdom and compassion on this path, and then as I'm using my wisdom, asking for the wisdom to be in there, then I'm checking, here's something I can do something about, this thing I can't do anything about, let it go. But here I can do something about it with compassionate wisdom, then how do I want to act? Then let me put myself in it in that way. Okay? And sometimes there's a kind of, how do we practice a kind of limited control over something? And this is some of you familiar with play the ball where the monkey drops it? Have you ever heard of this? Play the ball where the monkey drops it. People on a golf course with monkeys. And they have the ball, and wherever you hit that ball, that's where you're going to start hitting the ball from again. You know how golf is played, okay? So, but the monkeys come down and pick it up and put the ball someplace else. This is life. This is life often, okay? So then you get angry. You get angry at the monkey, the ball, and then you take the ball and I put it back there and the monkey comes back and moves it again. So you can spend your time frustrated and angry, hostile, difficult to work with, difficult to be with, okay, because I'm insisting that it has to be like this. And looking in a small box. This is the only way. Yesterday we talked about zooming out. That's my next golden rule, okay? But again, here I am, it has to be like this, it has to be like this. Some perfectionists get stuck in that. This is the only way we can do this. So play the ball where the monkey dropped it. Monkey put it over there, okay? Resiliency. If you're adaptive, it makes life so much easier for yourself and those around you. Again, within reason. Within reason, there's certain things you might say, no, I'm sorry, but we do need to leave now to get to the plane. So, within reason. Again, you're participating in your life practically. But the adaptation can be hugely helpful. Hugely helpful. My dad passed away last year at 92. But what happened a couple years before that was he suddenly couldn't walk. He suddenly couldn't walk due to statins. How many of you are on statins? Be careful. They cause lower extremity muscle weakness. Actually, we have a doctor in our midst here, so he could tell you more about it. And there may be other medical practitioners here. Okay, so for 2 years, I went to our doctor, whom we love, was a great guy, about my father's lower extremity weakness. My father, I said, he keeps complaining about this. His leg gave out, and my dad was around 90, and the doctor was like, and the doctor said to me, well, he's old. I don't buy that. My father was very active. He's old. So I start researching, because with elderly patients, Don could talk more about this, but they give all this medicine, but they don't really know how the medicines react to each other, relate to each other. But I started to do my own research, and then I see the side effect of statins is lower extremity weakness, so I tell the doctor that, and then the doctor says, oh, well, they're really kind of ineffective after 80 years old anyway. He missed it. He said, I missed it. Sorry, I missed it. I said, is it okay if we experiment and take him off the statins? I know his cholesterol will go up a little, but can we? And he said, yeah, you can do that. My dad was in a wheelchair then and had been very active. And so we take him off, and 2 weeks later, I'm in the room with him, and I said, with his walker in front, and I just said, do you want to try to walk? I'm here. I'll hold you. You know, he's a very big guy. He was very big. And do you want to just try? And he pushed himself up out of the wheelchair and walked right across the room. So, and another neighbor had the similar experience. So be careful like that. So he couldn't walk, to go back to that. And then we discussed with him, my family, about getting help in the home. These are the options. Getting help in the home, this. And we had already looked at some facilities with him. Would you like to move to one of these facilities? You know, and he said, yeah, I want to do that. And we found this place, very nice place, and he moved, and he just adapted. He didn't resist, he didn't fight us, he wasn't angry, he wasn't miserable, he wasn't, you know, there were challenges in moving. There was no question, and we were there with him along the ride, making it as comfortable as possible, and he adapted. He had a really good last couple of years there. He thrived. He was somebody who thrived in one of these places because he was very isolated on his own. But because he adapted, because, you know, I just found it was so much easier for us, for his kids, and the whole transition that he was really nice to all the caregivers, and everybody loved him, and the other people, he made friends there. So it's something to think about when you're insisting it has to be like this, and then you start resisting. Think about the effects that has on yourself, on your own mind. Are you happy? And then the effects on others. So another thing that helps with resiliency, coping, stress management. You've got a situation that's not working. You're frustrated, you're upset. Okay? Step back and zoom out a little bit. Can you see the bigger picture of how it fits in? See the longer view. How will you feel about the situation in 6 months? How will you feel about it in 5 years? And we talked about yesterday the 9-point death meditation. How would you feel about this situation if you were actively dying right now? Right? Or if a loved one was dying right now? Because suddenly I've got all this importance I'm placing on this thing, this is going on, but if I kind of, again, the first pillar of joy is perspective. What if I look from a different perspective? How does that work in your mind? Does it make you happier? Able to cope better? Less stressed? Please check yourself. Please check everything I'm saying. Okay? Number 5, increase interpersonal support. We all know about this. Community. Create community. Okay? Develop and nurture social support networks, maybe faith support networks, like look at this center. There's all these people here. When I got into the Dharma, I didn't have any Dharma friends, but then I started to go to centers, and I was really kind of looking at these values, and I really liked it. It made me happier. I started to make friends at these centers, and they were like-minded. They wanted to do the same things that I was doing. Going to the bar with my friends after work, smoking cigarettes, drinking. I wasn't really enjoying that much. So when I met these other Dharma people, it took time, okay? But then I started to do that on a Saturday night. I'd go to the center, there was some meditation, and then I'd meet somebody there, and then we go out for tea afterwards or go out to have something to eat. That was nice. Then we talk about that, okay? So avoiding isolation, I mean, unless you're somebody that kind of nourishes yourself, having some alone time, and unless you're in retreat, solar retreat, but too much isolation can be difficult for people too. You know, and then your stress comes up, you've got a problem, and you ruminate about the problem again and again, and turn it in your own mind from this way, that way, doing that kind of negative analytical meditation, feeling worse and worse and worse. And then people say to me sometimes, I have this problem, you know, like it's the biggest problem on the planet, you know, and I'm the only one that has this problem. That's the way they view it, like they are the only one. The only one, right? And then I'll say to them, well, that's a big problem. That's, you know, and well, you know, did you ever think about all the other people in the world that have this problem? Some people do Tonglen meditation. So I find it hugely relieving for me if I ever get a thing going like that in my mind about my own problem, is there's billions of people on this planet. Many problems like that going on. What if I think about them for a moment? Try to take on their suffering, let it minimize my self-cherishing, my feeling I'm the only one who has this problem. That makes the problem more solid. Okay, makes me more in pain having this problem. Alone. Nobody's helping me sort it. Nobody knows how I feel. People say to me, nobody knows how I feel. Are you sure? Because there's other people that have the problem. And they know how it feels. But when you're isolated, okay? So can you share feelings then, as you're branching out with a community, can you share feelings with somebody you trust? Not a gossip. You don't want a gossip mouth. Somebody you trust who's discreet, especially if you say to them, you know, can you keep this to yourself? This is really personal. Okay, rather than bottling it up for yourself. Rather than bottling it up. So it's nice to be able to speak about it, to get it out, but it has to be a safe person. So cultivate that person slowly. Might take some time. I've sometimes they're on Skype. Sometimes it might be a tech phone call away, honestly. You know, as a nun, I'm the only nun in my area. I don't know any other nuns where I live. I'm not even near really any Buddhist communities. So that's unique to when I lived in California. There was a huge Buddhist community with lots of nuns. So, you know, when I would go out, if I wanted to have a break, an outing, I'd call one of my nun friends. We'd take a walk on the beach in Santa Cruz, have dinner, have a meal, and talk about Dharma. That was a great outlet. You know, so I don't have that available, so we make a Skype appointment, and we'll catch up like that. It's not as fun as doing it in person and walking along the ocean, but you adapt. You adapt. It's okay. It's okay. And then I added increasing interpersonal support, and I know younger people, we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but we're all addicted. Create tech holidays. Can you limit your social media interaction if it's addictive? Limit your phone game playing. I mentioned yesterday the woman next to me on the flight down here. It's an 1.5-hour flight, pretty quick. And the whole time she was playing a game on her phone for an 1.5 hours. Right? So, okay, you know, that's her choice and stuff. But how many 1.5 hours in the day are there like that for you? That you suddenly, and you get on and an hour goes by. You wanted to read the Dharma book, and you go, really don't have time, because you got to have a few hours a day of the time wasters. How many hours are you doing that? What do you go on social media or on the internet for one little thing, and I've seen this. How many of you go, if you shop online, which is very common now, you shop online, okay? Do you open your browser in private mode? Please do that. Open your browser on your phone and on your computer in private mode. If you don't, and you shop, okay, then they're going to start pounding you with ads constantly on your phone and on your computer for the thing that you were looking for and shopping for. They know what you're shopping for. They get you. So private mode is really easy. It's quiet. You know, and they don't bombard me. They don't know what I'm shopping for. It's a slight little easy tip to do. But if you can create tech holidays, I left my phone where I was staying yesterday. I really didn't need it. I was really busy all day, teaching and things like that. And it was delightful not to have to, because it was gone. I didn't even notice it until like maybe 6:30 last night. And it was nice not to have to be like, and I see people at the breaks, immediately I got to check on the phone. What do you have to check? What's the matter? What's happened in 2 hours? What's really changed? You need to check the news again? You just checked 2 hours ago. What do you think has changed in 2 hours? Somebody died? You'll find out about it later. Somebody famous died? Like that. So see what happens. Some of you have the phone on, you said, all night. It's on all the time. Never turn it off. Okay. So use another alarm clock. Try that. Remember the old alarm clocks before the phone? Anybody remember those? Right? I travel with one. I have one. I love it. And they work. That's right. So that way you can turn the phone off. You have an aging parent. How many of you live with landlines? How many people have landlines? I know very few anymore. But if you have a landline, and you can just alert your family, my sister and brother know I have tech holidays. I don't turn my phone on. So if there's something they really need to reach me, and they know I'm home, they'll call the landline. Like that.
Now we got smartwatches.
Smartwatches, some people, yeah. So it's up to you. Like, now you've got it attached to you. Like, really? Think about it. Soon there's going to be a chip in our head. I'm not kidding. Soon there's going to be, you can get an implant and your whole life will be sorted. And then everything will be sorted by gender, and it'll say sex F, and somebody will go into the big computer and freeze it, and and women won't be able to do anything. The Handmaid's Tale. Anybody read that book? I'm sure she had a smartwatch. I'm sure she did. So again, it's your own personal thing, but if you find you're becoming addicted and you're a slave to this, you may want to look at reducing that and seeing how it is. Can you get outside more in nature? That transports your mind often into something really, really nice. And it's something different that a lot of you don't do. It's one thing to go into a gym and exercise. Great. Okay, but sometimes to get out and the leaves and the trees and today's gorgeous. Today's like 60 degrees it's going to be. But you're going to come into spring soon. It's a great season to be outside in North Carolina. And just, and I don't care if it's 15 minutes. You could certainly squeeze in 15 minutes on a nice day, but we already don't have the habit. I can't do it. I don't have time to go for a walk. You actually do if you build it in, but that's my game playing time. See how it works for you. Am I speaking to any of you or no? Okay. Just checking. Okay. Time management. Number 6, time management. And there's people that I know live under crisis mismanagement because they're not good at time management. Are you clear about your priorities? First of all, you're going to have daily priorities. I have a calendar in my phone. And I look at it in the morning, like I look at it the night before sometimes. What do I need to do? I have an early appointment or not, and then in the morning I look again because some of the things are not going to happen on the calendar. That's okay, but I know what the priorities are. These things have to happen. So I'm very clear at the beginning of the day how to gauge the day, when I'm going to need to take a break, what I want to do, when I'm going to return that phone call. And then if people call you, well, you have the wonderful device now, so you can see who's calling. In the old days, we couldn't. Remember, it was like, hello? Remember those days? Oh, well, I don't really want to talk to this person. Too late. Okay? But now you see. You see. So the thing is, because the person needed to call me at that time, it might not be the good time for me because I'm returning emails. So what happens is you let yourself be interrupted and interrupted and interrupted, and the phone goes beep and the phone goes tweet and tweet. Shut the sounds off at times because it's hugely interrupting. Somebody I know was asking me, sometimes I help organize people, and she was asking about, she was struggling with distractions when she's on her computer working. And she said, I get distracted, and then I notice every time she got an email, it said, "You've got mail." And I said, shut that off. I said, you're working over here now. Because every time she'd get mail, she'd want to go check. And I said, have a time that you go back and do the emails, and you're doing the emails 20 minutes. Doesn't have to be 2 hours, 20 minutes doing the emails. This is what I'm going to do for 20 minutes, and then I'll return the phone call. Right. Now, if it's somebody that you really have been trying to reach, okay, take the call. There's always exceptions to everything. Always things you can fit in. But and the other thing you can do is arrange a phone appointment with somebody then. If you keep missing each other, then say, okay, when's a good time for you next week? Slot it in, how long? It just makes life less stressful. I'm clear, but now, and it's okay if you don't get to everything that day. Then prioritize the next day. This has to happen. I have to get this project done. I have to submit that grant thing. That's okay. And then overall, are you clear about your life priorities? That's a bigger container that can make everything fit in. Are you clear about your life priorities? So if Dharma became very important to me at one point. And I really was happier doing it. This is what I wanted to do. All of my friends started, this is what, I had friends that were doing the same thing. And that's what I wanted to do. And then I had a relationship. And he was a spiritual person. He was a really nice guy. And yet Dharma was number one for me, not the relationship. And the relationship was like 2 or 3. So if it was a Saturday night and I had the night off and wanted to do something fun, and he wanted to do something fun, he was kind of like, hey, let's go out and we'll go to this club. And, you know, and there was a Dharma teaching. And I'd say, well, I want to go to the Dharma teaching. And maybe, do you want to have dinner after? Or do you want to have dinner before? Maybe we could go to the Dharma thing. But he didn't want to do that. He wanted to do something else. And after a while, that priority created that I couldn't do that relationship because he wanted a higher priority. But I was clear, no, I really wanted to do the Dharma. Right. And then as a result of that, I was able to meet somebody that had the Dharma as number one on their list as well. So then together as a couple, we could go to the Dharma thing and then go out and meet some other friends or have a walk on the beach or go to dinner, go to a movie. And we were both happy because we both had the same. So that's a bigger picture you could look at. Is it working? And the thing is, you don't make massive slashes in your life and your schedule, but can I start to make small adjustments? Small adjustments. I'm not really for the big rash reprogramming. You know, well, my husband's not into this, so I guess I'll get a divorce. No, not at all. And you're not cutting family members out of your life or long-term friends, but I'm adjusting. This friend maybe isn't doing such conducive things, isn't really interested in a spiritual path, so I might just reduce the time I'm with them. Or can we do something like a yoga class together instead of going to the bar or something like that? So slowly over time, you make smaller adjustments. Number 7, be flexible and resilient. Establish methods that encourage that. Be flexible and resilient. You know flexible people, they're really fun to be around. Really nice to be around. Like, plans change, okay, all right, but they're still up. You quickly recover from something. You know, you get some bad news or something else is happening, but it's okay. Things change and it's okay, like that. Flexibility and resilience. Number 8, take care of the machine. Okay, self-care, self-compassion. Self-compassion is really important. And we feel at times that we're not worthy. We shouldn't practice it because it's about focusing on myself. No, it's always with the motivation to benefit others, to get enlightened, to benefit others. And you need some self-care. You need some self-care. So this is about, are you sleeping well? You getting adequate sleep? That's important. If you're not sleeping well, and I didn't for several years at one of the centers, but there were many other life factors going on at the time. If you're not sleeping well, figure out what's going to work for you. First, with less medication, not taking medication. Can you figure out, you know, I had some really bad patterns. People are there on their phones till late at night with the TV on and all this tech coming in. I think that really interrupts the sleep pattern, healthy sleep patterns. People eating the wrong foods at the wrong time in the evening. Drinking too much or whatever, you know, going to bed too late sometimes for some people when they have to get up early, but it's a habit like that. I find exercise helps you sleep better. So just for the overall body, as most of you know, and some of you are getting older, you know, use it or lose it. Isn't that the saying they have? Keep moving. I can't stress how it has helped me. So I'm leading this pilgrimage to Laudo. If you want more info, please ask me. It's going to be amazing. And I have to get up this mountain. I have to get up and down this mountain again. And it's rigorous. It is a rigorous hike. It's a hike. It's not mountain climbing. You don't need any experience like that. It is hiking, and it's rigorous hiking. It's wonderful hiking. It's refreshing. The air is amazing. The mountains are incredible. And it's very, very fun as well. And but it's rigorous. So I do like to move and exercise at times. And I have had knee problems over the years. And these mountains on the descent are really very difficult for my knees. But doing these exercises for my knees are no longer hurting most of the time. And I'm older now. So it's really amazing how the stuff does really help to keep you resilient, to keep you flexible, to keep you happy, healthy, able to practice Dharma more. The same thing about eating well. So these are things you know. Limiting recreational drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, things like that, vaping. Limiting that. The stuff, some of it's really damaging to your body over time. Once in a while, you know, moderation, okay. But if you're not moderating, it's the same thing with sugar, caffeine, anything too much can create, you know, even too much tofu, okay? Okay. What about your private time? Are you okay having some alone time? This is where I'd really crank it into a meditation practice. I can't tell you the benefits of that. It is hard for us to meditate. I know that. We are more and more distracted now because of technology. I'm aware of that. I have technology. I use it. I limit it. So just be conscious. Do you have any, and even alone time to just sit, and if you're having breakfast alone in the morning and you have a space to do that, or dinner alone at night, or a lunch from work, is it possible to just sit and eat for 15 minutes without looking at the phone? Without looking at the TV? And just be with eating for 15 minutes? 10 minutes? And then if you want to pick up the phone, read something, because I read a lot sometimes when I'm eating, if I'm alone. But it's nice to have a little space to just eat. Like you're having a cup of coffee. Do you ever just have a cup of coffee? 5 minutes. Doesn't have to be, and just to let the thoughts filter through. I don't really have to hold on to any of them or think about anything in particular right now. I'm just kind of being. But then the meditation practice even more. So more focused on being still and noticing what arises, and then implementing various meditations that you can learn that really help you clear out negative patterns, help you enhance positive qualities, and also help you orient your mind in a positive way. It's so helpful for me. I can't tell you. It's so helpful. So if you can somehow develop that, and then if you have a meditation practice going, can you expand it a little bit if you'd like to, if you find it beneficial. Number 9, it's important to have fun. Laughter and having fun. Leisure, unwinding activities. That's important. That's important. I know sometimes it's centers, we're working. These are retreat centers that are residential. We're living there. Gets so intense, you know, and my mind start going downhill. And then at the time, this is before I was a nun, and my boyfriend's like, let's go to the movies. Great. Went to the movies. I remember it was just having a really tough time in California at the center. We went to the movies. We went to see Jane Eyre, the one remake of Jane Eyre. I went with the sweeping green English countryside. It was just what I needed. I was buried under the redwood trees. And, you know, and I came out and I was like, oh, you know, it's kind of an intense book, intense story, but I came out and I was like, oh, that was great, right? I remember the Titanic came out, the remake of the Titanic, during an El Nino winter in California. It rained in California where I lived for about 5 months, nearly every day. And one day it rained an inch an hour for 9 hours. And we lost our road. We lost $30,000 in revenue overnight from 2 major groups, one of which was with Joanna Macy, the environmentalist. And then it cost us another $15,000 to put the road back together. And it was staggering, 1998. And the movie was of that winter was the Titanic. And I remember my boyfriend was going to take me to see the Titanic, and we were digging out a drain, me and the cook. We're clearing this drain that had clogged, and it was raining, and it was very dramatic. At one point, we really had a situation, kind of more emergency situation, and he's like, "You're going to see the Titanic today?" And he's like, "We're living in it." He's like, "Why are you He goes, why do you need to go see that? Like, this is, okay. But it's important to go out and, know what is fun for you. I think most of us are aware. If you can get outside, even better on a nice day. Even in a light rain, it's nice to walk outside. Okay. Number 10, maintain your sense of humor. Hugely helpful. Maintain your sense of humor. And if you're losing your sense of humor, kind of danger signs, you probably need one of the other 9 going on. Get outside, have some fun, relax. Do you need more alone time? Are you not reaching out? Are you isolating? Like, it all, kind of everything else gets clogged up. Okay? Questions, comments? Yes, please.
Just a comment, not a question, but I don't know if many people know on our, sorry. Oh, wait. This is just a comment that may be interesting to people. On our cell phones, I have an Android cell phone. I don't know if it's the same for an iPhone. But you can go into the deeper levels of settings. There's one called Do Not Disturb. And if you turn that on, then you can select things underneath that. And you can select that your phone will only ring for the starred contacts on your list. So you can set it to your children's phone, their phone numbers or their teacher or whoever. Because a lot of parents, I think, they do feel they need to carry their cell phone around and look at it to see if something's going on, with their kids. But you can set it to just the starred contacts, and it won't vibrate and it won't ring unless those people call. And you can unstar and star people as needed.
Thank you. Everybody got that? If you got an Android, I'm sure they have it on. I mean, the phones are getting smarter. So I love also that, thank you, my phone also tracks the time on my phone. Have a look at that, and it tells you exactly what you're doing on your phone. So you go, I don't really play games very much. And then you look and you go, how many hours yesterday? Right, so you can actually, the other thing is I've been doing, because I'm working with some people addicted to their technology right now, grayscale, I mentioned yesterday. You can turn off the colors. It's just one really simple little technique. So you look and it's not so grabby to grab it without all the colors on it. That seems to cut a little bit of the addiction for some people. And it's great to have the ability to just the people that you really need to hear from, then you're going to get an alert, and then you're going to hear a sound. Perfect. So that works, because you do want to hear from some people, and you need to know. So that works really well. Thank you. Is this helpful for resiliency and coping and stress management? Other questions? Or anything about Buddhism? Please, yes.
I have a question going back to the hitting the ball from where the monkey drops it. Limiting efforts to control situations or people. That one is really difficult, and because especially my inflexibility with my time management, if someone keeps moving the ball, then I can't keep to my structure that I've set up for myself.
Yep.
So this is kind of when you say, oh, I'm going to sit down and meditate, and then, all these things come in the way, or I'm going to go out and take my walking meditation, and all these things come in the way. I was taking a really nice walk, and I felt like my mind is clearing, but then I decided to take my dog, and my dog kept making friends with other people's dogs as we were walking, and then other people kept giving me dirty looks because I wasn't being present with the walking meditation. I was in a different analytical meditation in my mind, while I was walking. So I just wanted to ask if there was a quick trick, kind of like the grayscale thing, about how to limit controlling other people or situations so that I don't get so attached to my, expectations in my mind.
Yeah. And check if you're a rigid person as well. Some people have that going on. One thing is, so when it says play the ball where the monkey dropped it, within reason. So if you do have a coworker who's not producing and not doing, and then again we have to practically participate in our reality and our karma. Where after a while I'm going to say, I'm trying to figure out what's going to work better for us, because and give examples. The last couple times this happened. And then we're late with the project, or I can't put my part in, and it jams me up. So I'm just wondering if there's a better way we can do it, knowing that I can't control them. They're going to be who they are, but I'm controlling my attitude towards them and my response. So I'm coming from kindness, working it that way. If somebody's really continually nasty, they don't care and things, then you might have to escalate it to take it to their boss, or really be stronger that I'm sorry, but this is not working for me. Like, and if they work for you, giving them a warning to explain that this is the job. So I just want to let you know right now, this isn't working like this, so I'm going to give you a chance to improve. And what would help you improve from my side? Is there anything I can help? I'm thinking we're going to have daily meetings, we're going to do that, like that. But knowing that you can't change them and control. Some people are just like that. And then while I'm walking, trying to be more present. And I mean, dogs are great because dogs, they like other dogs. They want to see other dogs. That's what they do. Right? So you take them, and it gets you out of your experience, because it's great for some people because you have to walk your dog. Dogs need walking. That's part of their thing. You know, cats, they see another cat, like, you know, the lone tiger. You know, that's how they're. But with dogs, it gets, so then you can, and let your, you know, dogs want to meet other dogs. They're companions. That's what dogs do. They're pack animals, and then you might make some new friends with the owners of the dogs, and like that. So I don't know if that's helpful, of adjusting, realizing, you know, being clear how you communicate.
Yeah,
you know,
I think
and
it
is
goes
the
back to
person
that.
having trouble, are they not clear because of how I'm communicating? So they weren't really clear about the project or what their role was, or so that's another thing of me taking control of my mind. Maybe I didn't, and I might even say to them, can you let me know a better way that I can communicate, that you'll be clear about the project? Or once we explain it, so are you clear that Tuesday's the day I want to get this information from you? Is that realistic for you? You know, and then you start a conversation like that to see what might work better. Do you think that'll work?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think you just brought it back to number one, is adjusting expectations.
Now, and there are
Yeah.
people that I do have a friend that worked, she had 2 people working for her producing educational materials. People are different, and you know, you hire people, you're not sure how they'll work, but you could check with references. One of them was like superpower type A, everything that was due, she had it done 2 weeks earlier. Really high quality. The other one was the opposite of that. And she knew that they were both going to continue working there. So she basically just had to adjust for the one that wasn't producing much, you know, and just kind of limped along with that. But the other one, and she just accepted that. So acceptance becomes a part of it. One of the pillars of joy, acceptance. Like, you know, doing what you can. Acceptance isn't resignation again and giving up. It's kind of like realizing, okay, this person is not going to be capable of doing anymore. So my decision is to keep them on and work with them and give them some things that aren't as a high priority, or find them a different job and transfer them or let them go.
Just a couple of things that you were saying. It's still not there? It's good there? No. All right, yeah. Yeah, that's like walking the dog. My wife's not Buddhist, and she's not really a meditator, right? So, but she does meditation. What she does is, like, she'll just incorporate these things, these duties into her life, and that becomes her meditation. So, like walking the dog, or working in the garden, in the backyard. She loves flowers and all this kind of stuff, and so that becomes very meditative for her. Mm-hmm. So I think if we can include that into our these things,
yes.
And so they aren't chores and things that are outside of what we need to do, and think, oh God, I got to do this, so I can't do that.
Yep.
Just bring it in.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think another thing is to release stresses, and this is what I'm working on, and that is we need to be honest, right? Need to be straight up. What is it that we want? Venerable Robina is always saying that. Say what you want. You know, say it. You know.
Yep.
And you know, so that the other person can know.
Yes.
Oftentimes we think that we're being very clear, but we really aren't. It's kind of open ended, And so then we get into this thing, well, I thought, and so you do the wrong thing, and then the person gets frustrated and upset. But it's because you weren't clear and stated very,
Yep.
So, yeah.
But communication is two ways also. So it also incorporates active listening. Like we think it's just how we express, but it's really, am I listening well, especially to those most intimate with us, because those are the people you kind of tune out after a while. But then I think it's very important to ask for what you want 100% of the time. Put it out there, but know that you're not going to get it. But at least I put it out there. It wasn't a surprise to you. However, you have to understand, especially in intimate relationships, you might have a partner that's not comfortable doing that. They're never going to ask. So then it's a matter of finding the communication style to draw out what, for instance, I have two friends, they've been together about 35 years, and she's happy to go along with whatever plans he makes. So they're very conscious in their relationship. They realized, and he just said, okay, so our next holiday, how about if you plan it and you choose where we go? We'll discuss it, but why don't you come up with the 3 places you'd like to go instead of me? And they basically worked it out, and she did the whole thing. And she said it was really great for her. It was fine, and they had a great time, and it kind of exercised that in her. So that's something that could be spoken, voice, that there's an imbalance here, and I really would like to know, so if you're the more dominant in that sense of expression, you might have to kind of really sit down with the person and say, I'd really like to know what you want to, where you want to eat tonight, what you want to do tonight. I'm really interested. Actually, you make the decision. You choose the restaurant tonight. You choose the movie, like that, just to give them some exercise in that, like that. Yeah. And it's true because gardening and walking the dog and certain things for people. I know one guy working on his car, it's a meditative thing, but it's not formal meditation. It's really not in a way. Don't think that it's okay, I can do this, because it's not as much as formal meditation, but I know for people, their therapy is gardening, and it's hugely helpful for them. Like instead of getting everything, and they'll go out in the garden and then they grow these things and they get their fingers in the dirt and it's fantastic, and that can be very, very helpful. Yep, that's right. Any last, yes. Happy to see you, Don.
Who am I doing?
Maybe Don, he had his hand up first, sorry.
Go for it.
Hey, Amy. Excuse me. So how are you? Look
I'm
great.
good. I love Don. I haven't seen him in ages. Hey, Amy.
Yeah, so
Happy to see you.
yeah, I mean,
Old
I
friend.
think Curtis Senchab was here about 30 years ago.
Wow.
Because
And
my
do you know how
nephew
many
was born when he was here.
That's right.
And
And I was
anyway,
thinking how many, because we stayed at Don's, he hosted us for Curtis Senchab Rinpoche 94. But I just think because I travel to all these centers now and how few centers know him. He passed away in 2006 and we haven't found him yet. This great, great master that visited all of our centers a few times. Was a great teacher, and Lama Zopa Rinpoche had him going around the world. He was one of Rinpoche's teachers, and a lot of people don't know him anymore. So it was nice to hear you mention.
yeah. So we're living in a time where there's a huge mindfulness explosion. I mean, books and apps, and it's huge. And some people don't think that mindfulness is even a part of Tibetan Buddhism. We have our Lam Rim and analytical meditations and blah, blah, blah. But, of course, mindfulness is always there. But it's not emphasized in the way that it is, they even call it mech mindfulness. It's just so commonplace. So I'm wondering, how do you see in your clairvoyance, do you see Tibetan Buddhism transforming in any way in the future to sort of incorporate this enthusiasm for just plain mindfulness? But there's honestly, it's totally secular. I mean, there's not even, you don't motivate, you don't think, okay, I'm going to be mindful, but in order to develop my mind so I can help all sentient beings. That's not the intention. It's very much, me, I want to be happy today, now, in this moment. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are.
Yes, yeah. A number of people ask me about that, and it's very hot now, mindfulness, in a lot of Western countries. And some Tibetan Buddhists came to me a few years ago saying, what do you think about this? Is this like it was a bad thing? And I actually think it's a good thing. What I'm aware of is the father of the mindfulness movement in the States, John Kabat-Zinn, who's a wonderful guy, actually. But he met some years ago with His Holiness presenting, like, I've got these mindfulness courses, and there's also mindfulness-based stress reduction and mindfulness-based cognitive therapy that has been very effective for people, okay, that are not Buddhists and are not on a spiritual path at all. So I think it's very helpful for that. But he met with His Holiness, and His Holiness was very excited about it, and His Holiness is very physical and warm, and and he grabbed his hand and he said, that's great, just don't call it Dharma. So the crux is the motivation. So if there is no motivation to become enlightened to benefit others for my mindfulness practice, I wouldn't call it Dharma practice. But it's more of a secular practice and if it's focused on de-stressing yourself, what could be wrong with that? There's many people I know who have done mindfulness courses that have no interest in Buddhism. So if it gets them to wake up a little bit to, and let's put it this way, some of you who are 50 or older, okay, if you are more aware when you put the cup down, my mind is there with the cup when I put it down. So now I know exactly where the cup is. And when you put your keys in your pocket, and my mind is there with my keys in my pocket, when you put your phone down, and if your mind is there, present, when you put your phone down, you'll know exactly where your phone is, right? I drop my mindfulness but I know now I can really quickly go back exactly where the cup with the green tea is, where I left it in the house, but I had several other things I was picking up, couldn't find the keys because they fell behind this thing. Then I found them, and then there's the cup, and I went right by it because I forgot that I put it there. And I was worried because we were a little late, and Soji was waiting at the door, and so I think it's very helpful for that. But I wouldn't call it Dharma if you're just working on your own breathing thing, but it's beneficial like that. And so in Tibetan Buddhism, the difference I would say, I use it mindful in a different way, is in Tibetan Buddhism we're trying to make our mind full of virtue. So that's a different way of approaching mindfulness. The general mindfulness programs and movement is really about de-stressing and what happens when I'm uncomfortable. Oh my God, and I'm and it's like breathe. And you're just noticing that you're uncomfortable. Like we never notice it. We have to fix it. We have to bottle it up. Get this person away from me. We end up with these negative coping mechanisms. But if I just stay with my breath, and I might even have some thoughts in my mind. Well, this really sucks right now. Okay, but that's all. I'm just there with that. And it helps me calm down. I can go into deep breathing, and I can start from there as the mind gains perspective. Our first pillar of joy gains perspective, to then start to look at what can I practically, with compassion, address this issue that's coming up right now. How do I want to deal with this person? But not from reactivity. That can be really helpful. Yeah. I teach some mindfulness courses, so I think that's what I found from it, how it benefits people. But just in general, for you put your glasses down, be there with them. Then you won't, once you get to be 60, and I've even talked to, sometimes I ask my friends, they've got a parent in their 80s or older, and I'll go, how's your mom doing? Well, she basically spends like half of her day running around the house looking for the stuff that she misplaced. It's like that. You're just looking, you go downstairs. Why did I go downstairs? You go back upstairs. What did I come upstairs for? And so slow yourself down through meditation. That's okay, because you'll get more done. Because you're going to be conscious of what you're doing, and you're not going to be spending your time, where did I put my keys? Where's my phone? Like that. There was one last question right here, and then maybe we'll take a break because the next session is at 1:30. There's somebody right here, and then maybe one last one here. Yeah. Okay. No, if it's something quick, please, let's.
It's quick. I was just circling back around to the practice and just kind of individual like strategies for maintaining a practice in an overcrowded world. And these are not mine; they're borrowed from friends. But one strategy a friend of mine uses is to use technology in the sense of she puts in headphones, but she doesn't necessarily listen to anything, but that's a visual cue to other people to stay the heck away. Like, I'm focused on other things and I don't really want to talk to you right now. I'm not available for interaction. And so just that visual cue, like with the cords and everything, even though she has other ones. And when she's really serious about it, like the over-the-ear ones. But like, I'm not listening. I'm dedicated to other things. So that's a cue to other people to set boundaries. And the second
You should see my hot pink earplugs on planes.
Yeah.
Like, they're pretty apparent, you know. I've got earplugs in, you know, like if I, you know, I mean, it also cuts down on travel noise, which makes you tired, like that.
Yep. So it's setting expectations of others, managing other people's expectations, that you're not always available in a way that a lot of people have come to expect. Like, if I want to say something, the recipient must be available for me to say it, and she's breaking that habit. But the second one is it's this awesome little gadget called a time timer, and that's literally what it's called. It's a time timer, and it's a support tool that's used for kids who have developmental differences. But what it is it's a countdown timer that shows red as long as the timer is still going on. So it's a visual timer. It doesn't necessarily have an auditory component. It is the best little object in our house because you can look at it and see, like, if you're trying to focus on something for 20 minutes at a time or 10 minutes at a time, you can see exactly how much time you have left without trying to like look at the digits on a kitchen timer. And so it's just a great visual support for people who have to use small bits of time. And you can't really take any more than that. It's just been an awesome help in our house. So I just want to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Headphones, time timer.
Thank you. One last.
It's not quick.
Well, are you coming this afternoon?
I'm gonna have to get out of here. Is it a question?
Well, let's try and we'll see, because
It seems relevant.
I thought we might be able to address it this afternoon if you're coming. But
How much time?
But go ahead.
Okay. So
He's
this
going to
one takes-
ask about what is emptiness. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's a little closer to home for me, but it takes a little bit of context. But I guess it was interesting what you said about your boyfriend and your priorities, and that Dharma was your number one priority, and you made that clear to him. Well, I guess I'm in a situation where I recently reconnected with someone who I love very much. And in our time apart, her faith has grown really strong in another faith. And so, and she made it very clear to me up front that that was number one for her, and that basically she's always going to love God more than me. And I think that's a completely reasonable a thing for somebody to say. I guess where I struggle with it, and where maybe where this question is going, is with control, and because she's someone who's appreciated Buddhist teachings in the past, and so and obviously that's where I more land, and and I struggle not trying to change their mind, and so I wonder if you have any tips or information there.
You can't change her mind, for one. You can only change your own mind. So I think it's more of, you might try for a little while to, each of you, could you go to each other's, like a program once in a while, like you'd go to church, or so there's some support because you value the relationship and that's important to her. As long as she also might join something that's important to you, because that's important to you. And I do know people that have had relationships like that where they agree, they're clear about the priorities, and they respect each other's space to do their things, and it works. It's a little bit more challenging than being on the same path, for sure, like that. But you could certainly discuss that with her. Is that something that would work down the road as you are evolving into a relationship? If you're indeed clear that this is what you want, this is the person you want to be with for now. And it could change after a while, where you realize the differences become too much, and then you're realizing, it might not. And she might just set that out there that I'll always love God more than you, because she's also trying to explore what's really valuable to her, and that could change as well.
I guess I should mention those were my words. I said, "Oh, you're always gonna love God more than me," and she nodded. So
right,
but
right.
Thank you.
So it might be interesting to really hear what is it in her words, because that might not be exactly how she's feeling, you know. So so you just keep exploring to see. Yeah, thank you. So let's just dedicate. If there's anything positive that's come from this, let's fold that into trying to help more people around the planet, but really helping us fully wake up to become Buddhas or fully awakened beings, so we can be of the most benefit to all living beings. I'd like to dedicate in that way, and I'd like to dedicate for all of the beings that have been affected by the fires in Australia, and may those fires be extinguished immediately. May people be able to rebuild their lives easily over there, and any beings that have died, may they immediately take a good rebirth to become a Buddha to benefit all. Also for the coronavirus, may the spread of that stop instantly, and may the people be healed, and may no more people die from it, and may that be sorted as quickly as possible, and all the other problems on the planet like that. So thank you very much for coming. It's lovely to be here. We do have a session from about 1:30 to 4 this afternoon. Thank you very much, on the 8 pillars of joy. Thank you very much. If you're interested in more info on the pilgrimage, there's a card here you could take. All the info's on my site, and there's a lot of teachings on there as well. Thank you very much. Did you want to do a photo? Are we doing a photo, or?
Did you want to do that now or at the beginning of the afternoon?
I'll take one if people want.
Maybe should we just do quickly now, and then if people want.
So then there'll be also a newcomer orientation after the photo if you wanted to.
Great. But if people want, they may publicize the photo, so please come on up. If you don't want to be in, that's fine. But come on up, squeeze in quickly, because
Thank you. I'm happy you asked got to ask your question.
Thanks so much.